On Thursday, February 13, 2025, at approximately 4 a.m., the village of Maibai in the Democratic Republic of Congo was surrounded by gunmen from the ADF, an Islamic terror group with ties to ISIS. In two separate attacks that day, the terrorists came hunting for Christians in the village, abducting 70 people, men, women, children, and the elderly, and forcibly marching their terrified captives to another nearby village called Kasanga. They tied their hands behind their backs and led them to a church in the village, brought them into the sanctuary, and beheaded them. How can this be? Beyond the sheer horror of this brutality, the desecration of a church, the monstrous cruelty, what is truly shocking is that no one in the world seems to care. Where is the outcry? Where are the headlines? Where's the media, the governments, the religious leaders? Where are the Christian leaders crying out for their flock? The terrorists didn't just murder their Christian victims. They took them to a church to behead them there, to send a very clear symbolic message that this was an act of religious war, jihad. This is not an isolated incident. There is a continent-wide religious war being waged against Christians in Africa. Each year, thousands of Christians are murdered, raped, kidnapped, and beheaded for their faith, burned inside their churches across the continent. The extent of the threat is massive. Security researchers have described the continent as an emerging global epicenter of terrorism. The European Union Institute for Security Studies has estimated that more than half of all conflict violence targeting civilians in Africa arises from Salafi jihadist terror groups. A report by the American Enterprise Institute finds Salafi jihadi groups linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State are spreading and strengthening in Africa, and that these groups will grow more lethal over time as they develop military and non-military capabilities and gain access to resources and opportunities that will drive an increased transnational terror threat as they mature. According to the development organization, Aid to the Church in Need, across Africa, from sub-Saharan Africa to East Africa, there are at least a couple dozen terrorist organizations that have as their ambition to install caliphates in their territories. According to the Hudson Institute, the common denominator to the attacks against Christians in Africa is radical Islamist ideology, which infects individual Muslims, local mosques and villages, and coalesces into terrorist organizations.